After an incredible 3 weeks exploring Carnarvon Gorge, the plan was to do a quick overnighter in the tiny outback town of Rolleston to pick up some mail and then make our way to Rockhampton for a much-needed major resupply. The Weather and Australia Post had other plans for us. Travelling isn't always glamorous, and this is the reality of outback travel. On top of all that, we managed to get bogged in one of the most unlikely places. Join us as we share our tips on getting the most out of wiki camps and manage our resources. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and enjoy the reality of van life.
Well, travelling full-time doesn't come without its challenges, that's for sure. That's the on-hold music for Australia Post. One of the reasons we've come to Rolleston and stayed just out of town last night was because we had mail to collect this morning. It's Monday morning and the post office is only open 3 days a week for 4 hours each of those days. So timing was critical and we had 3 parcels to pick up, a couple of things for Harrison's schoolwork. And we just got here to Rolleston this morning and there's no sign of our parcel. So trying to get a hold of Australia Post to find out where it might be, because according to Australia Post on the app at least, it's here in Rolleston. Old mate at Rolleston knows nothing about it. Liz even went out the back with him at the post office, which is actually in the petrol station, in the servo. And yeah, they can't find it. So that's fun. Meanwhile, Liz is in the van while Harrison's doing a telehealth call, because we do some of his stuff telehealth, obviously, because we travel all the time. So doing some telehealth. And the rain hasn't stopped. It's lunchtime now. We've sort of not wasted a morning, but spent a morning just kicking around trying to get all this sort of stuff sorted. I did also have to catch up on the F1 last night. so got that done this morning. But yeah, with the rain tumbling down, it's meant to keep raining all day. So probably not a great loss. Right.
Hey.
Well, I'm off the phone.
How did it go?
45 minutes on the phone to Australia Post. So there's 3 parcels, or 3 different tracking numbers.
Yeah.
One of them, the one that it says is here,
Yeah.
clearly isn't.
Yeah.
She can't get hold of anyone, doesn't know where it is, so she's just put a report in to say it's missing.
Great.
Someone please look for it. Parcel number 2 is sitting on a conveyor belt in Brisbane, going round and round and round because the computer can't read the address on it for some reason.
Okay.
So she's put an intercept in, which apparently means they then try and pull it off the conveyor belt and readdress it and then put it back on the conveyor belt. Yeah. But it often doesn't happen. It just disappears.
And do you know what parcel number 2 is? Is that the mystery?
So that's those 2 are schoolwork. So the one that's meant to be here but isn't, and the one that's going round and round and round is schoolwork. And then the 3rd parcel, which we've got a tracking number for, we're not actually sure what it is. Whether we ordered something and forgot, I can't figure out for the life of me what it is. But it is still showing as in transit to Rolleston.
Yeah.
It should have been here a week ago.
Yeah.
But it's not stuck somewhere and it hasn't arrived yet. But they won't do a missing item on it until it's 2 weeks late. So it needs to wait another week before we put in a report to say it's not here. And so she said with the 3rd one, if it doesn't show up in a week, we can put an insurance request in and the sender can get their money back and then send us a new one. But we don't know who the sender is or what it is. So we've got to try and figure that out.
Right. So
the plan at the moment is to make a plan. And this is reality. This is what it is often like. So here's where we're at the moment. So apart from this mail and postage we're trying to chase down, we are sort of killing time in a way, waiting for our car to turn up. So our 76 that we ordered almost 2 years ago is on a ship somewhere, kind of like Australia Post, in transit, but, you know,
yeah,
who knows when that'll turn up.
Yeah.
Because then at some point I've got to get down to Melbourne to get the car, to get it back up to Brisbane, to build the car, while we spend some time with no car trying to... Anyway, there's a lot of logistics with the car to figure out. Yeah. It's now raining, and we potentially are going to have to now be in Rolleston or nearby Rolleston for another week. There's challenges involved with planning, so it's not just where to go, what to see, how long to stay, all that sort of stuff. We're always sort of managing our resources as well. How much fuel do we need for where we're going? How much food do we need for where we're going? When are we next going to get a food or a grocery top up? How much water can we carry? Where can we get more water? How much water are we going to need? Where are we going to camp? What's the road like to get in? How long is it going to take? Do we need an overnighter on the way there? Like last night's overnighter in the gravel pit just outside of Rolleston, they're pretty common for us. You know, if we're sort of in between places. I mean, that one was because we needed to be in Rolleston this morning to pick up parcels that aren't here. Yeah, and often between like awesome campsites or great spots that we want to visit, it's more than one day's drive or more than we want to travel in one day. So gravel pits and little rest areas like that make a great sort of stopover point. Rolleston's actually turned out to be a really good restock. I don't think there's much of a supermarket here.
No, it's in the general store. I saw it. It's not great.
So there's not much here.
There's like 4 bananas, a loaf of bread, and a couple of like basics, and that's it. Like it's not somewhere we could get a lot.
No.
And even if we grabbed a lot, we'd be leaving everyone else short.
Yeah, and we don't need a lot at the moment. We could do with a fresh groceries top up, but we're fine. We've got enough food. But it's really good to see there's a dump point here. Yeah. There's bins, including recycling bins, which are pretty rare.
They're like hen's teeth.
And there's a clearly labelled drinking water fill-up point. So we've been able to at least fill up with water, get rid of our rubbish. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just going to sit down now, somewhere to go for a week. I'm thinking down south, down to Lake Nugga Nugga. Yeah. And then we come back to Rolleston if we need to. So this is normally where Wiki Camps comes into play. I love watching people walk around with their poo trolleys. We have a bit of a look at points of interest, what's in the area to see and do, camping options.
We really probably we need milk before we go is the essential.
We can get milk. I mean,
if we can get milk for coffee, because I'm not going anywhere without that, that's going to be a disaster. The challenges really are that after we go to Lake Nugga Nugga, and we can go there for a week and then come back to Rolleston, but after that we're really going to need a proper top-up because I'll show you what's in the fridge. We're down to like cabbages, carrots.
There's not a lot.
There's not a lot. Like it's all the long life week 3 stuff. So
how far is Lake Nugga Nugga? The other thing with going down to some of these places in the national parks and that is they're all unsealed roads. And it's been raining solidly for almost 24 hours now. So
they're going to be shy.
Yeah, I mean, even all I'll show you out the door here at the moment. That's just in town here. That's what we're dealing with. So I'm not too keen to go and do any sort of gravel or dirt roads because, I mean, for one, obviously it's risky for us and it makes a mess of our rig and our car unnecessarily, but it also makes a mess of the roads. And some of those roads are necessary roads for people to use day to day. And you trash a road and it can cost a lot of money to fix. So whether the road's open or not just because it's open doesn't mean we have to go down it.
So we need somewhere with decent solar that's not too far away from Rolleston, that isn't going to be completely ruined by this rain.
Yeah. I mean, we may not find much. It may just be a case of sitting around and waiting, but all right. Make sure, if you are doing this sort of stuff with Wiki, use your filters. Yeah. So if you're looking for something specific, turn off the things that you're not looking for. Can make it a lot easier. Sometimes it really declutters the map and makes it a lot easier to find things. So you can see here there how much it cleared up the map, and it's just really easy to see all the campsites now. Hello, Harrison. So, it's just a lot easier to find a camp then. So we'll go through now and see if we can find a camp, and then we'll show you what we come up with.
All right, honey, fast forward half an hour. What have we decided?
We're just going to start heading east. We can't go down to Nugga Nugga, I don't think. I think it's too risky with the wet roads. There's been a lot of rain, and it does say dry weather access, so that cuts that out. So I think we're just going to start heading east. There's a couple of little camps along the way. Not really sure exactly how far we'll get. We got fuel, we got water, we got enough food, and just going to wing it and see what happens. Rain's really put a dampener on things. That's the way the cookie crumbles, though. The challenges and the highs and lows of full-time travel. We have just had a cracking 2 weeks at Carnarvon. Can't complain too much. A couple of days or a day and a half of rain. All right, let's get in the car. Let's get out of here.
You've been cooped up for too long, haven't you? You got cabin fever. No. It's a madhouse. Honestly, it's a madhouse. Living in a small space with 2 children. Can you hear? The walls are shaking.
So a quick Vegemite and cheese Vita wheat, and that'll keep the tummies full for the next little bit. It'll last all of 30 seconds. As soon as we get in the car, the kids will be like, have you got any food? All right, you guys in? Clipped?
We're all set for the road.
All right, we're just gonna back up a bit.
Right, Dad?
Yeah.
Did we forget to put food in the car?
We don't need food, mate. You just had your afternoon tea. Good?
Yep, you know which way you're going?
Yep.
Yeah, the big bag.
East.
How do you know which way's east?
Because I've got a sense of direction.
I don't know how you've got a sense of direction. First stop, Roadhouse Milk.
Roadhouse and milk. Priority 1. We're horrendously bad at checking the weather. We don't check the weather anywhere near as often as we probably should, and this is what happens. You get a bit caught out. But, I mean, mind you, if I'd known about it, I don't know that we would have played it any differently, but...
No.
Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, we're going to keep driving east until we realise we've got to turn around. Nah, just kidding. We'll try and get to this roadhouse, I think. That'll be plan A.
You don't want to go to the gravel pit?
Or maybe the gravel pit before there. There is a gravel pit just this side of the roadhouse. We might even just free camp
Love
tonight.
a gravel pit. I love a gravel pit. We'll just put the Starlink out, gravel pit it. I just love like the balance of this. Like, yes, we've just spent a lot of money recently on some amazing campsites, but there's a lot of gravel pits in between, and we want to show you that as well because it's a realistic view of what life on the road is really like. There's gravel pits, a lot of people use them, and it's something that you might not think about or consider when you're sitting on the couch planning your trip is, what does a gravel pit look like? Would I stay in a gravel pit? How would the kids go camping in a gravel pit?
Well, they're not all gravel.
those
They're not all
questions.
gravel pits. Like rest areas as well. Like some rest areas in some states and stuff, you're allowed to camp overnight. Other just little freak bush camps off the side of the road and things like that. They're not always gravel pits. It's just
You've just got to make sure they're not a truck stop too.
yeah, that's the big thing
Yeah.
for us is making sure we're not camping anywhere that's a truck stop. Leave that for the truckies. There's plenty of other options for travellers. So
Yeah.
but I guess I think what you're trying to get at, I suppose, is that we hear of a lot of people that are a bit disappointed when they travel because they think every night's going to be like when you go camping. You pick a nice spot to go camping for the weekend or for a week, and then it's surprised that there's a lot of just make do sort of campsites that serve their purpose. As good as gravel pits and stuff are, most of them you wouldn't leave your van unattended while you went and day tripped or explored. So they're good while you're travelling, but they're not really a good base camp or anything like that in general. Anyway, this might be ours just up here, is it?
What are you thinking, Duff?
Well, this is pretty typical of a gravel pit. It's just a gravel pit. The plus side is in wet weather like this, if it's a good gravel pit like this one, it's not muddy because the gravel's down on the ground. So, I think this will probably do us for tonight. What are you thinking?
I was thinking the opposite, but
yeah.
But I was just thinking it's 3 o'clock. By the time we get to the next one, that's like 3:30. I really liked the idea of going to the river, but you're worried that that's too far away if we get called back. I just don't think we're going to get called back, and I think we may as well drive today.
So many options. Battery died on the GoPro. We went back and forth there a few times. Liz wanted to move, I wanted to stay. We often have these little debates and come up to an agreement. My argument is it's free, which is always great to keep the budget down. It's raining anyway. Even if we went to a nicer camp, we're not going to do anything but sit in the van and stay out of the rain. There's no service here, but with the Starlink, I can throw the Starlink up. There's a good access here. There's no big trees or anything, so I can get a good Starlink signal. It's already nearly 3 in the afternoon, so we can get some internet and then sit down and do a lot more research and come up with a better plan. And by morning, we'll have a whole new idea of what we're going to do. So I think there's a lot of people out there. Because we got a few questions about this when we've shared some of these ideas of camp in places like this before about like safety and security and stuff. I guess for us, so we're kind of used to it now, not just from this trip with the caravan and stuff, but we've kind of done a lot of camping, solo camping and stuff before in our camper trailer and things. So yeah, it definitely does take a little bit to get used to camping by yourself and in the middle of nowhere. It's not ideal to be in view of the highway like we are here, but you find these roads are pretty quiet after dark. There's not really anyone around, and I don't know. We've never had any issues. The advantage of the caravan is we can lock ourselves in and we can lock the car up. Everything's locked. And if we've got the Starlink up, we'll have connection. Worst comes to worst, we do have our PLB as well. So it's not something we think about a lot, to be honest. Not being complacent, but just not unnecessarily worrying about something that will probably never happen. It's kind of like, I don't know, being worried about sharks when you go swimming or something like that. Like, yeah, it's a scary idea, but it's probably not that likely to happen to you. I'll get the Starlink up. We'll do some work and, yeah, send a few emails and do some research.
Sort the website out.
And sort out a new website, which hopefully will be live by the time this video is live. So if it is, I'll leave a link in the description below. You go and see our new website.
So I just want to show you guys inside the van with our new table leg design. So in case you've missed it, we have got a swing away table that we put into our caravan. So we specified to have no telescopic table leg, and we ordered and installed our own table. There's a video that we did with the install on that already out, so go check that out if you're interested in this. Normally you don't have much space inside your van, but at the moment the table's off because we've been traveling, and look how much room there is in our... All that floor space can be utilised for games like Lego and building, like the magnets, or just drawing, and we can just lie on the couch. It just gives us a whole lot more space and room, which is essential and especially important when you have a couple of rain days back to back.
So managing your power system in these conditions can be particularly challenging, especially if you're like us and have a gas-free caravan and are 100% reliant on power. To do that, obviously, we need a lot of solar. We don't carry a generator, and our only backup is diesel for hot water and heating. Our only option for cooking is electric, so we are very reliant on solar. That's a big reason we specified so much solar on our caravan. We went with 1600 watts of solar, and that feeds through our EnerDrive system into our 600 amps of batteries. While that will give us a few days of buffer if we do have cloudy and rainy conditions like we're having in Rolleston, it will run out eventually, obviously. And if we don't get much solar, like at the moment we're getting little to no solar, we do have to be aware that eventually that power will run out and we do need to come up with an alternative. If you're like me, you check your batteries first thing in the morning, you'll check them before you go to bed of a night time, and you'll check them multiple times during the day, every time you pull up for a stop, just to keep an eye on where things are going. It's a really good idea to keep a really close eye on them, just to get a good understanding of what your power usage is and how much replenishment you are getting from whatever it is that is replenishing your system, so that you have a really deep understanding of in times like this of how long you've probably got before you're going to need to find an alternative charging source. One of the big advantages to our system as well is that our AC charger, when we do plug in, is a 60 amp charger, so it does give us plenty of charge when we're plugged in to top those batteries up as quickly as possible if we do get to the point where we need to plug in.
I have been charging all night. Like that, yours.
Morning.
Yeah.
Don't you love stepping in wet stuff on the floor? Just saying to Liz, I reckon the ranking goes for things to step in that are disgusting. Number 1, dog poo. Number 2, avocado on the floor. Number 3, wheat bix. I got number 3 this morning. Yesterday was number 2 though. Anyway, nice quiet night here in the in the gravel pit last night. We ended up with some neighbours, so these guys pulled in. They pulled in just before dark. I don't know if you can hear me with the kids in the background, but they're having their own conversation. Yeah, nice quiet night in the gravel pit. These guys pulled in, so we had some friendly company last night, which is always good. So this morning we're just going to shoot into the roadhouse. There's a roadhouse about 10 k's up the road. I'm pretty sure it's about that far. And there's good reception there. Harrison's got his School of the Air school call this morning, like a live call with his class and his teacher. So we'll shoot down the road for that. Saves us running the Starlink because we're a little light on power after all that rainy weather. So might as well get on the road, go for a drive and use that service, and I'll do some work while he's on his call.
It's actually really interesting. This morning when we told the boys we were leaving, they started like, oh, but we didn't get to play. And it's such a thing, like the beauty is in the eye of the beholder, because to our kids, out here in this gravel pit is a playground of like little mountains with rocks that they could shift and move, and they were devastated that we were going to leave without letting them play in the gravel pit. So yeah, beauty is definitely in the eye of the beholder, and our kids have requested that we come back to this gravel pit one more time. just pulled up onto the grass and got bogged at the roadhouse. It's pretty muddy. It's really slippery. Oh, it's so slippery.
Bogged at a survey, you're joking.
The clay here is just so incredibly sticky. I'm so glad we bailed on going to Lake Nugga Nugga. There's just with the mud on the side of the roads and how wet and sticky it is. Like you could see, we just got bogged like within a metre of going off the road.
Leave us a comment if you've ever been bogged at a roadhouse before.
It's the first time we got the titanium box too. Let's celebrate. And you handled it so incredibly well.
So calmly. I was so calm.
Calm as a cucumber.
Far out, mate.
Not.
I thought, like, it's one of those things, once you've done it, it seems very obvious. Of course, it's going to be wet and sloppy, but it just looked like there was just going to be a little wet bit and then it went up the hill and the grass looked all dry. It wasn't. It was a muddy mess. And this clay around here, as anyone who's travelled through outback Queensland probably knows, doesn't take much water and it turns to slop and it's, yeah, very, very slippery.
The new plan is now, so we've just heard that one of those packages got intercepted last night and is on its way to Rockhampton, which we're assuming is then going to get processed out to Rolleston again. So the kids get what they wanted. We're going to actually head back to the gravel pit that we started this morning at. Park up, we've got water, we've got sunshine, it's great Starlink. We're going to hang there for a couple of days or at least 24 hours, see if this package moves back to Rolleston, go and grab it. So we've got schoolwork for Harrison for the term and we'll see you there. We got milk. We got milk at the servo, which is good, so we got coffee. We're going to need it when we get there. All right, I'm going to wipe the mud off my shoes and then get in the car. What is it?
Well, 2 out of 3. Not bad. Oh, hang on, stop that beeping. Shut up, car. 2 out of 3.
76 won't beep that, you will it though?
No, the 76 doesn't beep at anything. 2 out of 3 is not too bad. So the one that we came for on Monday is here.
Yeah.
And the mystery parcel, which is actually an envelope, is here. So one of the school ones, which is also from the school.
That explains why we couldn't think about what it was. We like racked our brains. We went through every like item that we'd bought on the credit card, went through all our messages, DMs. Where did we give someone a post office address? That makes sense. Harrison's school report. I've already read the electronic copy. He did really well. He nailed it.
So after spending 2 more nights sitting in a gravel pit on the side of the highway waiting for the mail to turn up, 2 out of 3 parcels have finally showed up.
One more to go.
One is saying it's still in transit from Rockhampton to here in Rolleston. So,
which is about, Rockhampton's about 400 kilometres away.
Yeah.
So
we're going to just sit tight. I think we might just go and check into the caravan park. The following morning, our third and final package finally showed up, so we jumped in the car and headed east. Join us next week as we trade van life for boat life and have one of the most incredible wildlife experiences of our lives.